Hey everybody, this is Rusty again with Collector Auctions, and today I'm going to go over some of the books that I got signed at a recent James Tynion signing down in Annapolis, Maryland at Third Eye Comics. Now, this is the second signing that they've done with him. The first one is one that I missed. I was out of town for that one and I couldn't make it, and I regretted it because I thought maybe I'd see him at one of the conventions a little bit later on, which I didn't. And so I was really excited when they announced that they were going to do another signing with him. And one of the things that they do a lot of their signings Saturday mornings when they open up. And I work on Saturdays about 3 o'clock. So I've got this small window of time. So luckily they offer a VIP package. It does cost a little bit of money, but it also allows you to get a few more books signed, as well as ones that you bring in, as well as ones that you can pick up there at the store. And it also guarantees that I'll be in the first group that goes through and I can get through that line and get to work on time. So I was prepared. I had a stack of books. I have more books that I didn't get signed, but I brought more with me. I wasn't really sure what the limit was going to be, so I wanted to be prepared. I knew the store would have some good things too that I might not have on hand. So in the week or so leading up, well, several weeks leading up to that, I was making decisions. What do I want to get signed? Because not only was he doing a free signing at Third Eye, and later in this month, he's going to be doing a signing with CGC with a lot of his artists from all of his key books. The three big key books, Department of Truth, Something Skilled in Children, and Nice House on a Lake. All of his artists are going to be down at CGC. They're doing a private signing. So I had to kind of make that decision. Well, which books do I want to get signed in person, knowing that they'll never be able to go to CGC at that point? I could always save them for later on if I want to do CBCS. But knowing that I wanted to get that really good yellow signature series from CGC, as well as the artists that I've never seen any of his artists down there at Baltimore or Heroes Con or whatever, I decided, okay, which books, especially the Something Skilled in Children, I held back some of the bigger books. And there were a couple books in there in this stack right here that I ended up getting signing that I was questioning the grades. And, I've been real picky about sending books down there and getting those, especially moderns, if they're not just perfect. And I want that 9.8 on something like this. This is really something for the PC, but something that may have some value later on that I can pass down to my daughter. Yeah, I really want those really high grades. So I kept a few of those. So there's a few books in here that are actually pretty big that I held back just to hold onto the PC. And I had some that went down to CGC. Now, we'll go over that when we get those back in. I literally sent those out last week. So I'll be looking forward to that in the next few months, getting those back. But let's just go over the books that I got signed, and we'll talk a little bit about my experience. So Third Eye Comics, they open up at 11 a.m., and I get there, and there's going to be a small VIP package with people who got the package. There's going to be, so I didn't want to be down there super early, but I also didn't want to be in the back of that line either. So I ended up getting down there about an hour and a half ahead of time. I was about 8th back in line, which is really good, and gave me time to, not to kind of get under the cover there at their store. It was pretty sunny that day. It was really hot. So I was glad to be in the shade that day. And so we go into the store. It was very nice, very air conditioned. He's sitting there at the table, and they walk you around the whole length of the store, and then they walk you back up a different aisle that leads right to this table. And what was nice was they had all kinds of his new books right there on the table, trade paperbacks from Something Skilled in Children to his new, I think, Wind. He had a new issue of Wind that had just come out. But there were other books there too, and then he had 2 spinner racks of some of his other more key books. See, they had They had some of the first prints to Department of Truth, some of the early issues. They had again more trade paperbacks. They had some of the Something Skilled in Children. I want to say the foil edition to issue number 1. I think that was the local comic book shop edition. They had a couple of those. So I went in, and I ended up finding a couple things on there that I had not been able to pull back out of my collection that were in really good shape. So I took a chance, I pulled a few things off the rack, and that's in this pile too. But as I was saying, leading up to this, a few weeks ahead of time, I was trying to, you always determine, what do you want to get signed, period. And the one book that I wanted to get signed more than anything, and I think it's because it just struck me, it's one of the books that got me back into Batman comics and James Tynion's run, and I've talked about the Batman Who Laughs, and we'll get to that one later, but it was this particular issue of Batman number 92, and I think this is the cover stock edition. This is the Art Germ cover, and this actually is not this copy, but this issue is the very first 9.8 that I ever bought for my collection. I love this cover. I think it's just striking. I think this is one of my favorite Art Germ pieces. So I wanted to go ahead and get this signed. Now, if he had been there down in Florida for the CGC signing, I would have probably sent this in there too. But I had ordered this off the line. It didn't cost a lot, a few dollars. I ended up bundling, I ended up getting 4 copies. And you ask, why did you get 4 copies? Now, I only got 1 of these signed. Well, the reason is I want a near perfect copy as I can get. And luckily, that's what I did, because I ended up getting 4 copies. 3 of them were really good. This was the best I thought of the 3. The 4th one had this weird pebbling texture all over the cover. I mean, it literally looked like it had been laid in fine gravel and pressed down. It literally it was dimpled from top to bottom. I mean, I've never seen anything like that. I don't even know how it got there, but it just looked like dirt had gotten into the bag and it had pressed down. Of course, there was no dirt in the bag, so I don't know what the heck happened. And luckily, I was able to work with the dealer and the eBay dealer on that one, and he refunded that one issue. I said, it was a few dollars, but I sent him photos and said, what happened? And he just refunded that issue, which was fine. I kind of want to know what happened. But you can see James Tynion's signature right up here. Let's see if I can get to it. There we go, right there. So that looks really nice. So I'm happy to have that. And I had just mentioned this issue a few minutes ago. This is The Batman Who Laughs, number 1. Now, this is the issue. If you watched my episodes from a few episodes ago where I went down to Norfolk, Virginia, not Norfolk, Newport News, Williamsburg area, Virginia, I had found a shop called the Comic Cubicle, and I had found a new copy of this at a really decent price. I want to say they had a cover price, well, a price of $15 on this. And you really can't even pick this up online for less than $20 usually. And then with shipping, you're still not going to pay less than that. So I had bought this copy. I had wanted to send it into CGC to get it signed with him, but I determined just to hold on to it. It has a couple little nicks on there that I don't know if I really want to get that one submitted, but I do want to get it signed, because this is the book right here that actually got me back into DC Comics, period. And it was this image, this picture right here of on the cover, that right there. When I saw that online, I had to go find this. I was like, what is this character? Who is this? And with a silver pin right there, boy, that really looks nice, doesn't it? So I was happy about that, and I told him the story about how this is the one that kind of got me back into DC Comics. So I think he was very appreciative that something he worked on was able to move somebody enough to do that. Now, off the spinner racks that they had right there, and I had this issue, and I had bought copies when it came out online. I had gotten them graded. I've got them sitting in my collection, 9.8s. The extra copies that I had that didn't get submitted because they had some nasty spine ticks, and I didn't want to get those signed. But I got a couple copies of Something's Killing Children number 1, and this is, I believe, the surprise 8th print. I believe that's what that is. Let me see if I can turn that a little bit there. You can get a little bit. Well, we're going to get light anyway, but silver pin on both of those look really nice. They just pop on there. That looks great. And let's see, I'm going to go through the pile here and let's see what other Something's Killing the Children's I had. All right, so now here's an issue This was actually a reject from a CGC submission. It was a 9.8 submission that I had sent. I had sent 2 copies, and I think it was 2 different orders. This is issue number 16. But for me, the significance was this is the Bilson Cabbage homage to his Electra Assassin number 1. And I love this. This looks great. And I had had this on a pile, getting ready to go back into CGC. I felt like this still deserved to be a 9.8, and it was in my pile to go back in, and then I realized, wait a minute, okay, Tynion's going to be there, but next year down at Heroes Con, Bilson Cabbage is supposed to be back, and I'm going to save this. I'm going to save this, get this by Tynion now, and I'm going to save this for next June and get Bilson Cabbage on here. Now, granted, this was a book, if I want it graded, it'll have to go to CBCS at this point. But that's okay, because I want to take this and get Sienkiewicz to be able to sign this too. Hopefully he won't back out of that. But yeah, that was really exciting. The other one I ended up sending in, I did get a 9.8 on, so it is sitting over in the collection right now. And then the last Something's Killing the Children, and this is the one thing I did buy off of their stand right there, was a copy of the first volume to Something's Killing the Children. And this was a really nice copy. And I'd actually already had this. And my copy, I actually ended up sending in to CGC. It's one of the 3 books that I'm sending in to have him and his artist on here. Deladera? Is that how you say it? I've never heard it said. So so I sent that down there for them to sign this copy right here. Well, not this copy, but my other copy of this trade paperback. But again, silver paint pen just does wonders on this matte stock finish. So that looks beautiful. And then I moved over, let's see. I ended up getting 1 copy of one of the Nice House on the Lake number 1s, and I think this is the 2nd print on this. And I only took 1 Nice House on the Lake down there with me. Third Eye Comics had done an exclusive cover, and it was the same image as you see right here, except the trade dress was completely different. It was a much more like a late 70s horror novel by Stephen King. So the trade dress was different. And I've gotten multiple copies of this. They're all graded. They're all sitting over there. Some of them for sale, at least one's from my PC, and I wasn't cracking any of those out for that. And I'm like, take a chance. When I get down to Third Eye, I mean, this is Third Eye. This is one of their exclusives. I wonder if they've got any left. I took a chance to see if they had any more of them down there. Completely out. They had sold out of every one of those. So I'm glad I brought one of his Nice House on the Lakes. This, again, the 2nd print. And I ended up sending into CGC for him and, I believe, who is this? It's Martinez Bueno down CGC. I did send, what did I send? I want to say I've got just a regular first print that I sent down. I don't think it was a Third Eye Comics version, but I sent just a normal first print down there from them both to sign. So that's what I sent in for that particular signing. And then for Department of Truth, this is issue number 8, and I did this because it has a Scotty Young cover. Now I'm regretting when Third Eye had Scotty Young in there. This was in my pile, but it was the last of the books that I'd kind of pulled back. I didn't give him everything because there's still a limit, right, guys? This was book, I didn't think I'd end up getting it signed by anybody else at any time, so I just sort of, I put it on the side. But now I'm going to have to go to another convention and find Scotty Young. Luckily, he shows up at a lot of different conventions. But yeah, so there's James Tynion down there. And beautiful white cover, so autograph shows up really good. But I'm going to have to save that. This is issue number 13, and I did this because this image to me is just kind of iconic and ironic at the same time. This is they're showing how they faked the moon landing. It's not real. It was all filmed. It was you know, one of those, this right up Department of Truth's alley, right? And I love this cover. So I ended up getting that signed just as a personal thing. No, I don't think it's really worth anything. It's not a spec book or anything like that. Now, these two have a little bit more of that. This is, I know that this is one of the reprints to issue 1. I honestly, I can't tell you which one it is. But you see he's signed right up here at the top. And then issue, this is the 5th printing. And I got that as well. Now, I ended up, while I was there, on the stand, they had first printings of this right here. And then they also had one of the Jenny Frison cover, the bright red Jenny Frison cover. And I ended up buying, I want to say I bought both of those. And both of those, I didn't get signed there. I actually brought back, I got them prepped, and I'm sending them down to, I'm sending them down to CGC so I can get him, and who is it here? It's Martin Simmons, Simons, to get both of those signed. So I expect it to look a lot like this right here by the time I'm finished. But yeah, so I ended up, while I was at this signing, I ended up buying a few extra books to send into the CGC. Let's see, what else? I've got multiple copies I've pulled out of this. I don't think the closet has really taken off or anything at this point, but I've enjoyed the series so far, and I've bought multiple copies of issue number 1, so I went ahead and picked up one of those. This is the new issue of Wind I was talking about, The Throne in the Sky. It's a new series for Wind. So I literally picked that one up off the table, had him sign it right, and he signed it right there. And then the last 2 books are books I had recently picked up. This is Year of the Villain, Hell Arisen. I picked this up at the same time at the same shop in Williamsburg at the Comic Cubicle, along with that Batman Who Laughs. I picked this up, and I picked both, this one especially up. I picked this one up to get graded. And after working with a little bit, there is some rub and things like that, and I wasn't sure that I was going to get that 9.8 on there, so I just pulled this one back, and I ended up getting it signed in person. So, yeah, I'm just going to hold on to that now. And then the last one I did was, to kind of match that, was again, these are all first appearances of Punchline, and a character that helped me, along with the Batman Who Laughs, get me back into DC Comics. And of course he's signed right up there, and this is a first print. But yeah, so that was it. That was my experience with Third Eye Comics. It's always handled well. People are really nice. It's great talking with the other collectors about what are you getting signed. And man, you hear about some of these people that, I mean, this one woman had a box that was like this, and everything that was in there was signed by a lot of his other artists. So she just kind of went to town, even though they had limits. I mean, she literally was pulling out stacks, and he was just banging through them, and they didn't say a word. Yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't encourage that. I try to kind of be respectful, but push the boundaries a little bit when they have these limits, but they're not really enforcing it. I don't want to completely take advantage of it, but it's nice to get a few extra books here signed. Yeah, so it was a great time. Got to work on time, and that was great. And here are the books. In a few weeks, hopefully, hopefully in the next month, probably this is the end of, we're in the middle of September. Signing for Tynion, the deadline is September 23rd, so that's coming up this week. So signings should be coming up pretty soon. So hopefully all that'll be done, and hopefully I'm hoping by December we'll get those books back from all of those signings. So anyway, guys, thank you for watching the video today. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you like what I got signed. What do you think? Do you like these books? Did I make good choices? Let me know in the comments section. And if you haven't already subscribed to the channel, I encourage you to do so. And if you already are a subscriber, thank you guys. I appreciate all the support. I love the feedback. We are almost at that 500 mark, and I appreciate everybody's in here and following the channel. So guys, I'll talk to you later. Take care.